What's up, guys? It's Ethan. We are vlogging through the rain right now, and slight drizzle, I guess. Not really rain, but loud leaf blowers in the back. But yeah, we're playing another session, and I'm not sure what we're gonna play. We signed up for literally every single game, so I'm putting my name on the 5-10 list because if it runs, we'll play it. I think you guys really would enjoy more 5-10 action and kind of just watching me squirm my way through really big pots. So yeah, we'll see. We're on the 1-2 game or the 1-2 list as well. So whatever's open, we'll hop into it and try to hop into the action. But yeah, there's that. We haven't played in a few days. Might be a little rusty. Might have to punt off some money real quick. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But anyways, we'll see. Wish us luck. Comment down below if you want to win a chip. That's always cool. Giving one out per video if you didn't know that already. And I'll see you guys, yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying. Let's go. Let's hop into it.
Let's get 5 red, please. Thank you.
Here at the 1-3 game, first interesting hand that we pick up, we have pocket jacks in the small blind playing 6-handed. We buy in for $500, so there are 2 limbers to us. I raise to $20. We get both players to make the calls, so we've got some action and we're out of position. Flop comes Queen, Jack 5, Rainbow, middle set for us. What a dream spot. And here, I'm just going to have to c-bet here on this flop. A lot of different draws out there, maybe Queen X holdings that we can get value from. I bet $25. Unfortunately, both players fold, but first hand of the day in this video, we start off as a winner. That's a good start. Next hand, we pick up pocket 7s under the gun with a button straddle. So the blinds fold, and I open up the action to $20. The player to my left makes the call, and we're only going heads up to the flop on this one. The flop comes 10, 9, 8, 2 hearts out there. And here, now, pretty interesting spot out of position. We have an underpair to the board, but we are open-ended. So I check. He bets $30, and here I think I can just kind of call once, float and see the turn, and see what happens there. So I just make the call for $30, and the turn comes another 10. Now I'm a little bit more comfortable with my hand, maybe a little more confident that we could be good here sometimes. So I check, seeing what he does, and he decides to check it back. Here I'm going to a river. River comes an 8, so that's pretty gross. We're sitting with the board, we got counterfeited, and here I check. He thinks about it, ends up checking it back. He shows ace queen of hearts for ace high, and our pocket 7s won't play on this double paired board, so we lose that one. Alright, mid-session update, kinda. We played 1-3 for about an hour. We were in the game for 500, out of it for 532. We made 32 whole dollars. Oh yeah. And now, mixing things up, going to 5-10. Max buying 1,000, and we're gonna see how it goes. I don't think it's gonna be the same crazy action as last time, but we're bumping up the variance. You guys wanna see big pots? Here we go. On to 5-10 we go. One of the first hands and one of the first interesting spots we pick up. We have Queen 10 of spades in the small blind playing 5-handed here. The on the gun player open limps and folds to the button, who raises to $50. Here in the small blind, I certainly can muck it, but with 40% of the royal, suited Broadway cards, we're just gonna have to make the call here. I really don't like just cold calling, especially from the small blind, but we're doing it in this spot. I call, and the under the gun limper makes the call as well. So going 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes Queen 3, 5, 2 hearts out there. So flopping top pair, not too shabby. Action checks to the button player, who c-bets $75. Here with top pair and a very suspect kicker, I decide to just make the call here. Obviously, just no other option makes sense besides calling. So we're going to a turn heads up. Turn comes the 3 of diamonds, so the board is paired. And here, I'm just going to have to check here, see what happens and see what he does. He decides to just check it back, and we're going to the river. The river's now the queen now, so now we've got queens full of 3s and basically the nuts. How do I ever get value from anything here? I feel like sometimes I can just make like a very small blocker bet and get hands like pocket 8s to 10s to call. Maybe even get a very light call from ace high. But in this instance, I decided to just check, thinking it would be best for him to give him the opportunity to fire away. Unfortunately, he checks it back. I show my hand. Obviously, we win this one. Next spot, we have a 6-7 of diamonds in the small blind, still playing 5-handed. The unlinked player opens it up to $20 by accident. I think he tried to raise a normal amount, then misclicked with his chips. So we have a raise to $20, and here in the small blind, we're just going to have to make the call for 20, knowing that he misclicked. The big blind unfortunately folds for only $10 more, so we're going to a flop heads up. Flop comes ace, 8, 9, 2 diamonds. Oh my goodness, what a flop for us. With the absolute world, I check, praying for a bet from him. Nope, unfortunately, he checks it back because I think 5-10 players kind of have a clue what they're doing. So we're going to a turn, which comes the deuce of diamonds. Cool, we get there. Still a little disappointed that there was no action on the flop. Here, I'm going to have to bet $30. Just going to start building the pot here. He thinks about the $30 bet and makes the call. Off to a river, just trying to fade a diamond. The river is another deuce, and here now with a 7 high flush. Obviously, we're going to have to bet again for value, hoping he checked it back with an ace on the flop or something like that. So I bet $80. He tanks for quite some time now, and here I'm just praying he makes the call. I'm really not sure what kind of holding he could have here. Maybe he can get sticky with hands from like 10s through jacks or something like that. But he does make the call for $80. We show our hand, and we are good with our 7 high flush. Next hand, we pick up 4-5 of diamonds. You know I love these suited connectors, and we're on the button. I don't necessarily remember the pre-flop action. I'm sure I could just look back in the video, but regardless of what happened, we go 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes king 10-10 rainbow. Action checks to us here on this flop. Certainly can just try to fire in position and take advantage of that, but sitting with 5 high, we don't block a single thing out here. I decide to check it, and we're going to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of diamonds, which improves us to a flush draw, little baby flush draw. The big blind now leads out for $40. The pre-flop raiser, who I think did raise pre to like 30 or something like that, he does make the call, and here onto us with this action so far. With improved to our flush draw, also in position, we decide to call the 40 as well, hoping to improve to a river. The river comes the jack of diamonds. Beautiful. There's a 4-liner out there. It's very unlikely someone has trips or someone has a full house. So here, unfortunately, no action to us. Action checks all the way to us. And now here, I'm trying to get max value from a Queen X holding that doesn't necessarily want to bet out. So I decide to fire a larger sizing to $220. I think we can get called from Queen X. We can although very unlikely, we can get called from 10x, but yeah, really would love a straight to call, but unfortunately, both players fold, and that's all we're going to make from our flush here, but we're running pretty hot. The very next hand after the 4-5 of diamonds, we pick up 6-7 of spades in the cutoff. We love our suited connectors, like I said. Playing 5-handed, the player on my right opens it up to $25. Here, feeling pretty confident after running pretty well so far. I decide to 3-bet on the lighter side to $70. Action folds all the way back to him, and he's a pretty good player, and he actually throws in the good old 4-bet to $175. This is a tiny sizing for only $105 more. I don't think I can just get away just yet, but I probably think he has a pretty premium holding. But yeah, I decided to obviously just make the call for 105, see a flop, and evaluate what happens next. We're going to a flop, which comes king jack 5 rainbow with 1 spade. This is really just not what we're looking for here. He checks to us, which is pretty strange in my opinion. I feel like he should be firing a c-bet all the time, but the only hand that I could probably target as a bluff here would be pocket queens to apply some pressure. So I've got to hope he has queens here. I decide to bet $130. He thinks about it just for a little bit, not too long, and makes the call for 130. Off to a turn. Turn comes the 5 of hearts, brings in the backdoor heart draw. And now improved, he checks to us again, and I'm debating between checking this back or betting really big. I think I probably can check back sometimes, and also probably can bet big sometimes. I don't really know what's going on in my head, but I'm praying he has pocket queens. And here I decide to size up on the larger side to $350. He thinks about it for not too long before ripping it all in for $950-ish total, and we're screwed. This was really not what we were planning on facing, but I feel like looking back at the action here, right, I feel like if I bet really big, I'm either going to get snap folded or I get check jammed on, like in this situation. His hands are really weighted towards aces, kings, sometimes ace king, and sometimes queens. And I think queens is just going to have to snap fold. Ace king, aces, and pocket kings are just going to check jam here all the time. So yeah, I think this is a really big punt. Obviously, we can't call for $600 more, even though we improved to open-ended. I feel like we could have just checked it back, but we did not go with that line in this hand. Unfortunately, we're going to have to kiss our money goodbye. Big time punt this time, and we fold our hand. He later told us that he had pocket aces, so yeah, we just got totally screwed here. After that 6-7 disaster, we're back with another premium holding of 10-8 of hearts on the button. Action folds to me, and here I think this is a pretty good candidate to just open raise. So I open to $30, and we get one player in the big blind to make the call, so we're going to a flop. Flop comes ace, queen, jack, 2 spades, and a heart out there. He checks to us, and sure, this is a board that we can certainly c-bet on, but it's just super, super wet, and we have a gutter and a backdoor flush draw, so we're going to take a free card and evaluate a turn. Turn comes the 7 of hearts, which is actually pretty interesting. We improve to a double gutter along with the flush draw, and he bets $50. Obviously, we are not going away. Although he did bet a larger sizing, we're just going to have to go with it and see what happens. So I make the call for $50, and we're off to a river. The river is the 10 of diamonds, not the card we're looking for, even though we do have a pair. But interestingly enough, he does bet $50 again, which is pretty strange. I don't really think he has a King X holding. Potentially could be doing that just to milk some really small value from a hand like 2 pair or something like that. But I don't really see a whole lot of King X's in his line so far. So I decide to raise to $175 as a nice little bluff. He frustratingly snap folds. He folded ace queen face up, so yeah, I'm glad to get this bluff through. Sometimes it just got to bluff. The next hand, we're on the button with king jack offsuit. Once again, action folds to me, so I open it up to $30. This time, we get both of the blinds to make the call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop in position. Flop comes 9, 8, 6, 2 clubs, and a diamond out there. And when action checks to us here, totally whiffed this flop. Just gonna have to check it back, hopefully try to improve. Turn comes the 10 of hearts, which does improve us. We do improve to a double gutter now, which is pretty interesting. So here, the small blind leads out for $35. The big blind folds, and here, obviously, just never folding. Once again, folding $35. We're hoping to improve. We go to a river. River comes the ace of clubs, so the club draw does get there, and I'm blocking the nut flush. When this river card comes, I'm looking at his body posture, and he's shaking his head, and he really doesn't look too happy with it. Regardless, though, he does fire again for $55. Very small amounts, and it smells like he probably has a 7x holding. I've played with this guy before, and it seems like I could potentially get him off of 7x. And I do block the nut flush, and I have Jack X holdings as well to block the nut straight sometimes. I raise to $170. Once again, going back-to-back hands, trying to bluff raise on the river here to get a fold. He hums and haws for a little bit and ends up tossing in the chip for a call. I tell him good call, I show my blocker, and he shows us queen jack of spades. So really wasn't ever going to get a fold from him there with the nut straight, but it was worth an attempt, I think. This next hand, pretty fun and interesting. We look down at pocket sixes on the button, and we're playing 5-handed. The under the gun player open limps. I decided to just make the call and limp in as well after the under the gun limper. The big blind checks, and we're just going 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes queen, 6, deuce, 2 hearts, and here on this limped board, finally we flop another set. Action checks to me, and here gonna have to bet for something, some sort of value here. I bet $20. The big blind thinks about it, makes the fold. The undergun player makes the call. He says something about us not believing what he has. Not really sure what that means, but we're going to a turn. Turn comes the 10 of hearts, and now the flush draw does get there, unfortunately, and he checks to us. Here, when he does say that, I don't think he has a flush draw holding, I don't think. Regardless, we have a set, we have to bet for value. I bet $45. He snap folds face up. You won't believe it. It's aces with no hearts. What the hell happened? What signs am I giving off here? But how did he snap fold aces here? And he didn't even have the ace of hearts, so he couldn't even call for the flush draw. Hand after sixes, we pick up jacks once again here in the big blind. The cutoff opens up the action to $30. The button makes the call, and here with a pretty strong hand, we're only playing six-handed, definitely going to have to go for the 3-bet. I size up to $155 out of position. The cutoff thinks about it and actually folds. And the button now makes the call, which is really interesting. I guess I'm putting him on some sort of pocket pair when he makes this action, but I'm not really sure what kind of hand is strong enough to call a raise in position and also just call a 3-bet. But we're going to a flop, which comes 9-6-3 2 spades. Here with our overpair, very comfortable flop for our jacks. I actually balance and decide to just check to induce, trying to look like a hand like ace king or ace queen potentially. He does bet $100. So here, interesting, betting a tiny amount. As played, I can't really check raise here with just one pair. Seems a little suicidal, so I decided to just make the call for 100, and we're going to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of clubs, so the 9 is now paired, and any 9 improves the trips. I guess I can very comfortably just check call now. I certainly don't have a ton of 9s in my range, and I don't think he necessarily does as well, although I'm still not really sure what kind of holdings he could be having right now. So I decided to just check, and he checks it back, so I'm really putting him on a hand like maybe 7s through 8s. We're going to a river, which comes an 8. Fuck. One of those holdings that I just thought he had now improved to a boat. The flush draw did break out at least, which is a decent thing. And here, I'm not really sure what to do. Like, I could bet really small for value, or I could just try to blast away and look like ace king like I did try to look like from the very beginning. So sticking to the plan that I had from before, I fire big to $350. So with this bet, if he does raise us, we obviously have to fold with just one pair. Hoping he has a hand that has enough showdown to potentially just bluff catch us, but unfortunately he thinks and ends up laying it down. So a very weird line by me. Just wanted to mix things up, I guess, and play a little unorthodox with this hand, but here we are. Following that, we pick up king queen offsuit on the button. The under the gun player opens up the action to $30. The middle position makes the call, and here, standardly enough, we're going to call for 30 as well. On the button, we're going to a flop 3 ways in position. Flop comes queen 5-5, 2 hearts out there, and the under the gun player c-bets $30. Middle position player gets out of the way, and here with top pair and a pretty good kicker, we're just going to be making the call and evaluate a turn. Turn comes the 8 of diamonds, and it brings in a backdoor flush draw. Now he sizes up to $125. It's pretty interesting. He certainly can be doing this with a lot of draws. I don't really think a worse queen would be betting this large, like queen jack and maybe even queen 10. Queen 10 probably on the looser side of the under the gun opening range, but I don't think they would necessarily size up this large. But here with king queen, obviously we can't fold for 125 just yet with all the draws out there, so I called it to 125, and we're going to a river. The river's the 4 of diamonds. Backdoor flush draw does get there, and now he thinks and tanks for a little bit. He ended up sizing to $200. I snap called $200 with a queen and king kicker. Not too bad of a holding here, and unfortunately we run into it. He has pocket aces. After losing a few hands, we now have 8-7 offsuit in the big blind, and we have the small blind who opens up the action to $30. Blind versus blind situation, I actually hate these, but with 2 connected cards, $20 more, we make the call and we're off to a flop. Flop comes Jack 6-6, 2 clubs out there, and he bets $20. Here, I'm pretty sure he down bets all of his holdings here, all of his ace, king, even queen high holdings, I think. So here on this paired board and also with a flusher out there, I think it's pretty comfortable that I can try to rep this 6 here and see what happens. So I do raise to a smaller amount, just to $55, and as expected, I'm pretty sure he's going to make the call here all the time with basically all his holdings for only $35 more. Turn comes the 9 of spades, and it brings in another backdoor flush draw. Now he checks to us. Since here we improved to our open-ended straight draw, I decide to fire a second barrel to $125. Also, he could have improved as well, potentially with the spade draws out there. So really, honestly, blind versus blind, I'm just really trying to take this down, but he does not fold for 125 just yet. He calls, and we're going to a river. The river is the 3 of diamonds, and this is just a total Brick City card here. Once again, he checks. Here, I've come so far, and it hasn't really worked out so far in this hand. We haven't gotten a fold yet. I think we just have to continue telling our story. It's one of those spots where we don't know where the hell we're at, but sometimes you just gotta stick some money in there and hope for a fold. I bet on the smaller side to $225. Kind of smaller sizing compared to the size of the pots, just to look like value. Instead of just blasting off like a pot size bet of around $300-ish, he's tanking. He thinks for quite some time, ends up making the fold. Phew, we got that one through. My goodness, we were really sweating this one, praying for a fold. The last hand of this session that we're going to go over here in this video, blind versus blind situation once again. We're in the big blind. The small blind opens up the action to $30 once again. Same player from our last blind versus blind situation. Here with King 9, actually a much better hand, we make the call and we're going to a flop. Flop comes 10-10-7 rainbow. Once again, he down bets to $20. As expected he would with all of his holdings. I decided to just make the call this time, not going to raise with King High, as I think King High can be good here a lot of the time. So we're going to a turn which comes the King of Diamonds, brings in a backdoor flush draw. Now he sizes up to $75. Here obviously improved to top pair. We're just never folding. I'm trying to put him on a hand or a range of hands that would make sense here. Maybe some sort of 8-9 holding or some sort of diamond draws. But we make the call for 75 and we're going to a river. The river is the ace of spades. Wow, could you think of a worse card to come? He thinks and now bets once again for the 3rd time to $200. Now I tank for so long, and I'm just thinking in my head, how the hell did we get here? We're kind of facing like a pot size bet essentially. $30 pre, $20 on the flop, $75 on the turn, and now $200. Holdings that I can beat, 8-9 of diamonds. Holdings that he could have. Obviously 10x makes a lot of sense, but I think that's pretty rare to just flop trips in a blind versus blind situation. Some sort of ace x diamond holding that improved, but why are you betting so much? At the end of the day, I think folding is boring, so I make the call. He shows us 9 deuce offsuit, and with 9 high, we're going to take this down with our pair of kings. But man, our head was in quite the blender on this one. This small blind player is super solid. He puts players in a ton of tough spots, like this one here. Really didn't make it easy on us, but I'm happy we made the right decision this time. And yeah, we take this one down. was a hell of a session, I guess. Couple things, couple notes to take away from. I think one, I've come to the conclusion sometimes my aggressiveness gets to the best of me. Sometimes being ultra aggressive is not the best, and it gets in my own way. Specifically that 6-7 hand. That's really unfortunate. Later on, I found out that the guy, he had aces in that 6-7 hand. So yeah, 4-bet me there, ran into it and punted off a lot of money, punted off a lot of my profits. But luckily we were able to battle back. And secondly, I was just put in a real blender with that king-9 hand, blind versus blind. Personally, I don't really know how to navigate blind versus blind situations, and it's just so tough. Like, anyone can have anything, and when you turn top pair and you're facing a large bet, like, what the hell is going on? And then the river was just atrocious. So yeah, that was a real shitty situation. But we grinded for about 4 hours. I was in the game for 1360, out of the game for 1996. So good profit, $336. We made $32 in the 130 game after an hour. So overall, profitable day. We got out of there alive. Like, honestly, my mindset with playing 5-10 is just trying to survive the variance and not get absolutely destroyed. So we did that. We survived. We made money too, so that's awesome. I'm certainly going to be playing more because I think you guys really enjoy it too. And honestly, I fucking squirm and sweat through these hands like crazy. But yeah, I don't know. There's that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. It's always much appreciated. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.